Here we go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of All of the Above. I am changing things up a little bit this episode. I'm doing a video component. So if you're watching the video component either on Spotify or YouTube, you'll see what I mean by this. But it's not like you guys would ever know because I've only ever done one other video component and you would never know what I'm doing during it. But I have it set up because I'm going to do my hair while I record this podcast. I have a hard time with the idea of sitting and doing nothing, which is a contradiction because I'm not sitting and doing nothing. I'm sitting and talking and recording a podcast. But sometimes it feels really weird for me to just sit and talk and do nothing else. I'm very much so a multitasker, but more so just like multiple things going on at once makes me feel more complete. Like if I'm baking something, I want to have a YouTube video on in the background. And just that being on is very satisfying to me. If I'm working, journaling, editing, doing something on my computer, I want to have background music on. Like just something else going on at the same time makes me feel much more satisfied with the situation. And if it's not, I feel really antsy and I feel really unsettled. So I've talked about before of the idea of recording a podcast and going on a walk, but why limit it to that? Why not do a podcast and do literally anything else? So here we are. I'm going to do my hair. I'm currently drinking hibiscus tea. I call it my princess tea. I'm on a tea kick as of lately. I'm trying to limit my caffeine intake to zero, ideally, but sometimes it's just fun to have a little kick. And I try to, take such good care of myself, but then I limit a lot of the fun things in life as a result, like the little buzz that you get from a caffeinated drink. I deserve to have that every once in a while. I stopped drinking caffeine that much because, well, honestly, like the big main reason was because of my poops. Like, there is something so satisfying to me about having really healthy bowel movements. It really makes me feel on top of the world. It really makes me feel like all is right. And it just like is the ultimate way for me to start my day. Like, I always go to the bathroom as a part of one of the first things I do in the morning. I wake up, I pee, I brush my teeth, and as I'm brushing my teeth, I have these little post-it notes around my mirror and like a monthly affirmation, I guess, written out. And I just started doing this last month. This is now my second month of doing it. But while I brush my teeth, I read all of those things, and it takes me exactly 2 minutes to read all of those things as I'm brushing my teeth. So not only am I getting my mindset right, but I'm also keeping my dental hygiene in check because before this, I never really fully brushed my teeth for 2 minutes. Like I really just like stuck to certain sides of my mouth that I felt the most comfortable with. And I had an electric toothbrush, but it kept breaking. And my electric toothbrush had like a 2-minute timer on it. Anyway, I digress. I brush my teeth. I read my affirmations. It takes me 2 minutes. And sometimes the order is all like mixed up, but then I also put my contacts in. I'm washing my hands. And at some point in time, I have the urge to release the compounds of my bowels. And I do that. And that's my morning routine. That's what I do within like the first 5 minutes of getting up. It's great. I absolutely love that I function in this way because it's really frustrating to me. Don't want to throw him under the rug, but I'm about to throw him under the bus. I can feel frustrated by John's poop schedule because if I want to go out and do something, either his poop comes out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, but it's like as soon as we're ready to go out the door and we have to stop and wait because John has to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, God damn it. Why can't you be like me where you poop within the first 5 minutes of getting up? Or we'll go out and have a little breakfast coffee moment, and we have to go home pretty shortly after because my man has to use the bathroom. And that's a struggle. So I stopped drinking coffee for a while because I realized that it was destroying my insides. Like, I'm like, this is not good for me. And things were not going well. Like, there was just a long period of not good doo-doos. And I really worked on it. And I've gotten so much more regular and like I feel so good. But I can't not drink caffeine all the time because I deserve a little pick me up every once in a while. Like, I'm so good to myself. I deserve to be a little bad. I deserve to have a small iced coffee every once in a while. Anyway, as a result of me trying to drink less caffeine, I started drinking herbal teas, and I've kind of been on this herbal tea journey. It started with, I think, a lemon ginger tea. No, you know what it started with? It was like a stress and immune tea. I don't really know what that means, but I saw it, and it was in a period of my time of my life of this year that I was really stressed, and I know that when you're stressed, your immune system is kind of down. It's kind of on the decline. So when I see that in the store, I'm like, oh, this tea will help me with my stress and my immune system because a girl is not trying to get sick. So I bought it, and then it kind of has been a domino effect since then because it felt so good to like make myself a cup of tea at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. There's been so many romantic moments that I've been having with tea. I was getting body work done regularly, and I would bring the tea on the car ride. It's like a 30-minute car ride to the place that I go and get body work done. And once I was over, which is one of the most painful things that I put myself through, but also the most relieving. Like, I felt like a normal person. I felt like a Polly Pocket after my body work. I don't remember the texture of a Polly Pocket, but I imagine that this is what it feels like to be a Polly Pocket after I get my body work done. It's almost like I don't have bones or muscle anymore. I'm just like this rubber, lucid being that can like do anything. I'm demonstrating what that means right now. Well, I would do that, and then I would have a tea waiting for me in the car. And at that point in time, after the 30-minute drive to the place and the 60-minute session, after a whole 90 minutes, that's when my tea was actually cool enough for me to drink. It's really worked out nicely for me. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I could be this good to myself. Like, I didn't know I could treat myself this way. So now I have 2 different like ginger teas that I can have at any point in time of the day. I still have some of that stress and immune tea, and I'm kind of branching off since then. So most recently, I did a little grocery tea sesh, new tea, replenishing, expansion, download. You know, in The Sims, I don't know if you've ever played The Sims, but maybe there's another game you can relate to. In The Sims, there used to be like expansion packs that you could get, and it wasn't like a full-on new game because there was different games. Like, you could have The Sims pets, and that Sims, like, you could have like a pet horse or a pet dog or a pet cat. I don't remember the other ones. That one clearly stood out the most to me, but there was these different versions of The Sims. But you also could have an expansion pack, and the expansion pack, I think, was just like more options of furniture and clothes and things to do, but it wasn't like a full-on additional or different game. I think that's kind of what happened when I went to Sprouts recently. It was like an expansion pack trip where I went and wanted to expand upon my life by getting more teas. And I got 3 teas all at once, and this is profound for me because I'm usually like, use something until you run out and then replenish it. Like, I don't really let myself go overboard like that, and now I'm getting to a point in my life where I do because I deserve it. Like, I've been really into bagels, and last week I went to a bagel shop by myself, and usually when I go out and do things, especially in the morning, like if I'm going to get myself a coffee or I'm going to get myself a donut or I'm going to get myself a bagel, I always think about John and getting him something because I know that it would be a nice gesture, and I want to do that gesture for him of bringing him home a coffee without him even knowing or asking. But recently I did a bagel outing and I didn't get him anything. And I was going just for me. And I went and I had an idea in my head of what I wanted. But when I got there, I saw another thing that I was considering. And I was like, ¿por qué no los dos? ¿Por qué no los dos? Why don't you get both bagels? Why don't you get 2 bagels for yourself? You don't have to eat them both right now, but if you want both of them, get both. So, similar scenario at my expansion pack tea trip to Sprouts. I really was only going to get 1, maybe 2. I got 3. I got 3 new teas. One of them being this hibiscus tea. And I call it my princess tea because it is hot pink. It's fuchsia in color. And it makes me feel like a goddess. Like, this is goddess juice. It's literally like the pulp of a flower. I'm drinking flower water. I really cannot think of anything else that is more princess-like than drinking flower water. And it being hot pink. And I put some lemon in it, half of a lemon squeezed in. That's my little pick-me-up. The other 2 teas that I got, just because I got to fill you in, was... I got this tea that's called Positive Energy Tea. It's tangerine flavor, and it has about 70 milligrams of caffeine in it, which is me really treating myself because I was only buying herbal teas. This is my first caffeinated tea that I'm buying, and I've had that once. And I brought that with me to my cycling class yesterday because I was like trying to build upon that really treat yourself moment that I had with the My Bodywork class or my bodywork sessions. And I brought it in the car. And that's only a 17-minute ride to the cycling class from where I live. But I was feeling a little overzealous, and I brought it in the car to my cycling class. And before I was about to go on my cycling class, I was like, let me have a sip because I haven't tried this yet, and I wanted to know what it tasted like. I took a sip, and I literally let the hot tea dribble out of my mouth because it was so hot. I couldn't even force myself to swallow. It just needed to evacuate my mouth. Like my mouth had to evacuate everything that was in it because it was way too piping hot. So I'm just sitting there in the car. It's 6:50 in the morning, and I just like dribble the hot tea out of my mouth onto myself. Anyway, that's the second tea. Third tea that I got clearly can't be. Oh, it's raspberry leaf tea. I got raspberry leaf tea, and I actually drank 2 cups of it this morning because the other day, John and I we've been doing these pottery classes. We did 1 pottery class, and we made bowls, and then we had to go back to paint them. And we went back to paint them, and while we were painting them, I overheard the lady and a different woman, a customer, the lady that owns the shop and another customer were talking because the customer was pregnant. I'm literally spilling the tea right now and everything. The lady that owned the shop was with a customer. The customer had expressed that she was pregnant and feeling really nauseous. And the lady was like, you should drink raspberry leaf tea to help with the nausea. And when I was on my Sprouts trip, I saw raspberry leaf tea, and it said that it's good for pregnancy and menstrual cramps. And I knew that I was about to start bleeding in a few days, so I copped the tea so that I could have it for myself for my cramps. So this morning, when I woke up and I felt the familiar wetness in my pants letting me know that it had started in the middle of the night, I got excited because I knew I was going to go to the bathroom, clean myself up, all that jazz. And then I was going to boil some water and make myself some raspberry tea, sit on the couch, enjoy it, let it settle, and let myself get adjusted to all the feelings that I'm now having in this initial stages of me shedding my skin. And that was so nice. I sat on the couch so pleased with myself of like, I really did this. Like I really set this moment up for myself. And I didn't know that it was going to look like this, but I could not be more happy right now. Like I had the windows open and Winnie was sitting next to me, like cuddled up all into me. I was journaling. I had my raspberry leaf tea. I'm shedding, and that always makes me feel like all is right in the world and makes me feel like a powerful woman and that I'm not pregnant, which is always a plus. So yeah. Okay, I really just did a whole 17-minute intro about my bowels and caffeine and tea. Well, the reason I brought you here today is because, how do I want to say this? My intention for today, and just something I've really been marinating on with what I want to put out in future podcast episodes, is I want to put out a type of podcast that I would like to consume. And the type of podcast that I would like to consume in my life, something that just like makes you feel good. Something that requires no thinking on your end, and something that doesn't necessarily have like an underlying lesson within it. I'm not trying to teach you anything. I'm not yeah, I'm not trying to teach you anything. And I'm also not trying to really hash out things I'm struggling with unless I'm going to do it in a comedic way. So mentally, I have established this. Mentally, I'm viewing this as the next season of my podcast. Like, I'm starting season 2 of my podcast. And season 2 of my podcast, I really want to feel good for me and for you. I want you to be able to go on your Target run. I want you to be able to go on your morning walk. I want you to be able to clean your apartment, throw this podcast on, and just know that you're going to have a good time. It's going to elevate the experience. We're going to end it feeling really good. Again, there's no thinking involved on your part, but it's just adding to your experience. The same way I talked about in the beginning of the episode of how I like to do multiple things at once because that satisfies me. I want to satisfy you. I am here to satisfy you. You're welcome. So I've been thinking about, okay, what are the things I could talk about that I feel like would fit into that category? And I kept going back and forth, and I literally still am going back and forth in my head because I'm like, okay, what are some feel good, low stakes stories, things I can debate, I can talk about? And currently, what I am deciding upon is telling you the stories of how I got my cats, the story of how I moved to San Diego and how that all unfolded. Or as I was setting this up, I was thinking about, you know what, like what's a funny story? What's a funny story about my life that I can tell? In freshman year, I peed in someone else's room. I peed on someone else's dorm chair on my dorm room floor. I peed on their chair. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until I put the puzzle pieces together. I think I'm going to tell you that story of how I peed in someone else's dorm room chair. It scares me because I haven't thought about it. Like, normally when I'm doing a podcast episode, I kind of piece it together in my head of like, okay, start here, say this, oh, add this to it. Like, I kind of like mentally log it out. I haven't logged any of this out. So we're just going to raw dog it. We're just going to raw dog it. Just like I was going to raw dog this episode because I was going to do it while I did my hair. And I haven't touched my hair yet. But I have to raw dog it because if I'm going to do my hair, I can't wear my headphones. So I won't know what I sound like, which I think is fine. I'm just a little nervous that the sound might. I'm a little nervous that if the microphone unplugs, I won't really notice. And then the other thing I'm worried about is if I'm talking away from the microphone and I don't notice. But I guess those things are fine and I can adjust. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you how I peed in someone else's chair. And, okay, let me set that up. All right. Okay, I'm going to raw dog it. I'm so scared. I'm going to raw dog it. Okay, worst case scenario. The audio sounds like shit. Listen anyway, because you love me. You let me learn by doing. You let me learn by experimenting. Dog is raw. It's so raw. Wow, it's so raw. Not to be dramatic, but this literally feels like driving without a seatbelt on. Like, it doesn't feel right at all. But you're in like a neighborhood. No, you're in a parking lot. And you just have to move like a few like yards down, maybe like 10 yards. You're just driving 20 yards. It's like not that bad. I think I have to check. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to raw dog this because I have no idea how I sound right now. Okay, I'm checking. Okay, sounds fine. I'm just gonna try not to be a little bitch about it. Anyway, so this is the story of a girl who peed on someone else's dorm chair and she didn't know about it until her RA told her. Girl is me. Wish that I knew when stories started. And I'm going to inference when it was. I don't know if it's illegal. I don't know if there's like copyright to like sing and tell the story to the tune of another song. But let me just take you on back to my college dorm. I have college on the brain because I recently started watching The Sex Lives of College Girls. And it's just making me reflect on my college experience. Not that there's anything particular in that show that like is representative of me, but I don't know, like sometimes I just think about how college was such like an integral part of my life and a really cool experience that I had, and not even like for the learning aspect. I never like used my degree and I don't think I ever am going to, but bless my parents honestly, bless my parents for like putting me through that, because they did. And I just thought that like that's like the track that life was. And like during my time of life where I grew up and all of that jazz, very much so made sense. Like that was like the path that I should be on. Anyway, that show, The Sex Lives of College Girls, has made me really think a lot about college and my college experience. And I just think a lot too about how, if like for people that do go to college, just how each person's experience is so different. And for me personally, I don't know, like there are a lot of fun stories that happened in that era. And I don't really think that there are many really times that it comes up, because I don't really think that there's many reasons for it to come up. So here we are. Do I tell you where I went to school? Do I? Like maybe you already know. I don't know. I don't know if I give you that information. I haven't decided yet. But I went to a 4-year college, and it was a big college. Those are important things to add. And I lived in a dorm my freshman year. My freshman year dorm was 4 floors. I lived on the basement floor, and each floor was alternating with sex. The sex was just like alternating throughout in the dorm. No, the first floor was all girls. The next floor was all boys. Next, all girls. Top, all boys. So really there's only 4 floors. But anyway, I was on the first floor. Every floor had their own bathroom that everyone on the floor shared. So there was a girls' bathroom for girls only. You needed a key to get into the bathroom, and you only had a key if you lived on that floor. And the bathroom was about in the middle of the dorm room, like the dorm floor. Take a shot for however many times I say dorm during this episode. So I lived in this dorm. I don't know really why I want to tell you this, but I really want to add in that my dorm had no AC and it had no Wi-Fi. So it makes me feel a little prehistoric, but I honestly love that because I think it helped me build character, and I think it adds a lot of, it adds to the storyline of my life. Like it definitely made me a better person. And where I went to school, we really experienced all 4 seasons. So like summer was hot and humid. Winters were cold and frigid and windy. Well, that summer of me going to school, freshman year, was a particularly hot summer. I'm pretty sure we slept. This is not on. My crimper is not on. Okay, I'll turn that back on, let it heat up. Whew. I don't know why, but that particular summer was a really hot summer. We regularly slept with the door open, which like sounds really sus. We slept with the doors open, like let there be airflow. Anyway, some point in time, I just tell you like the start of college. See, this is why I think about the stories before I tell them. I'm like, what's important for you to know, and like what is not important for you to know. And I guess, okay, I can tell you like a little bit of a backstory of like my first night of college. So my parents dropped me off at college. I'm there. I'm gonna add in that my roommate was a girl that I met off of Facebook in a Facebook group where it was all girls looking to figure out someone to room with. So I'm like meeting this girl for the first time. No, second time, because we had met at orientation, but we had like texted, and my freshman year roommate I really enjoyed. Like we got along really easily. It was like good energy, good vibes. So I like felt relatively at home like right away. But the first night my parents dropped me off, and I don't know if like my dad texts me or what, but he says something, and he's like, don't worry about like unpacking the first night. Like you have all semester to unpack. And that really stuck with me, and it's actually really good advice because I think about that like when I go on vacation or like if I move. I'm like, okay, well, if something's going on, like don't stress about unpacking because you have all this time to unpack. So as soon as my dad said that, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like I don't have to unpack. Like I don't have to spend my first night like cleaning and like organizing and putting all my shit away. Like I'm at college now, baby. And that's also when I realized that you don't go out until 10 p.m., which was wild for me because I didn't really drink or do things like that in college or in high school. Like I very much so was like a goody two shoe in high school. And this is going to make it sound worse, but I also was a two sport athlete. So like I didn't have time, which I guess like I could have, but it just wasn't on my radar and it wasn't something of interest to me. Like if I wasn't participating in my sports, I was just hanging out with my friends that were like also on the sports team and making out with them. But I didn't party in high school. So like college was my first real exposure to that. I remember being like bewildered and so excited, but also so intimidated when I found out that first night that like, hey, we're going to go out, but we don't go out until 10. I'm like, fuck, like that's so late. Like I don't stay up that late. But I don't think it fazed me ever again, except for that first night. So first night down at 10, my first frat party, because where I went to school, like frats were really big, but they still are. Like Greek life is just really big at the school that I went to. So the first college party I went to was at TKE. I have no idea what that stands for, but me and my roommate, we requested Bubble Butt by Major Lazer to be played. We twerked. Pretty sure we played Flip Cup and we won. Like it was just like a really good first night. And then we just went on to continue to frat hop and get drunk, yada yada yada. Me peeing on one of my floor mates' chairs. Where does that come in? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. I really don't have many memories, like specific memories of first semester of college. I couldn't like give you dates about when things were happening. I just know that like I was going out a lot with my roommate and other friends that we had on our floor. Like the girls on our floor, we were pretty close. Like there was a group of us that was like we would do things together, go out together, go to frat houses together. I didn't black out for the first time until February of the next semester. So I wasn't in like my blackout stage yet, which I think is important to note for my pee story. Like I wasn't drunk enough to be blacked out. One day, my RA comes to my room and asks to speak to me privately. And I had never really talked to my RA other than like in like floor meetings before. So I was pretty scared about what she was going to say to me. Didn't really have anything that was going on. My RA comes, tells me she needs to talk to me privately. I go to my RA's room. She closes the door. This is intense shit, guys. My RA begins to tell me that one of or two of the girls on my floor, no, where does she start? She starts with asking me if I have history of sleepwalking. And I tell her no. I'm like, maybe I have like once or twice, but like I was really young. And I remember the first time I slept walk, I had to be like 4 years old. I was less than 6 years old because it was in the first house. It was like the house that I was born in, but we moved out of that like by the time I was in the second grade. So I was younger than 6. I remember I think I had to have just like learned what sleepwalking was, and I pretended to sleepwalk in the middle of the night down into my kitchen to sneak and have a cosmic brownie. Oh, but like the sleepwalking was like going to be my scapegoat for me in case like my parents caught me, and like I was just like walking down the stairs like with the lights off, like my eyes closed, going to the pantry to get a cosmic brownie. So that was like my only real experience of sleepwalking, and that was honestly all that came to mind when my RA had asked me if I had a history of sleepwalking, and I was like, I don't know, like not really, like no, like that doesn't sound like me. And then she tells me that I had sleptwalked the other night. And she says that she knows that I had sleptwalked because two of the girls on the floor had come to her and said that I had gone in their room in the middle of the night. And like they weren't mad or anything, but like they brought it up to her. They just like kind of chalked it up to like, oh, Carly was sleepwalking and she came into our room and like we need to like tell the RA because it's like dangerous for me to be sleepwalking. And she like kind of tells me that she's like kind of looking out for me, just like wants to check in on me and like if there's anything that she should know so that like I don't know, keep me safe. If there's like a way for me to like lock the door so like I don't leave my room or whatever. And I just like sit there through it and I'm just like, oh, like okay, like yeah. And in my head I have no idea what she's talking about, but as she's talking about this, I am piecing together a night where I went to bed and I woke up the next day with different pajama pants on than I had gone to bed. And I never really understood why or like what had happened, but I thought that maybe I was just remembering wrong and like never investigated it more. So I'm starting to piece that together in my head, like as she's like confronting me about sleepwalking. Eventually, she lets me leave. We carry on. And I go to talk to the girls that had originally like came to my RA. So I go and I talk to these girls on my floor and I kind of ask them about the incident. I'm like laughing, trying to figure out like what the hell was going on. And they were really sweet about it. They were like really smiley and laughy and just kind of telling me like what had happened. And they said that one night they were both in bed and I just like came in their room and sat on one of their like desk chairs and like just like started talking to them. And I don't know what we were talking about, but like they were talking to me, I was talking to them, and eventually I left and like that was it. And I think it was like overall like a positive experience because they seemed like really chill and like just thought it was really funny. And it seemed like there was nothing I was saying or doing that was alarming. Like I probably was being pretty charismatic. But they had mentioned that after I had left, that there was water on the chair. Like they used the word water. They're like, the chair had like water all over it. It was like really weird. Like after you left, like there was just like water on the chair. And I was like, oh, that is like really weird. Like, was I drinking water? Like I was trying to play it off. Did I spill water? They're like, yeah, like we don't really know. We think like maybe it was spilled. Like we don't really know where it came from, but there was just water on the chair. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I went back to my dorm bedroom and I put every piece of the puzzle together and I realized that in the middle of the night, I had tried to go to the bathroom and the bathroom happened to be across the room, across the hallway from the same room that I had gone into. And I either tried to go into the bathroom and couldn't figure out how to unlock the door in my like sleeping state, or I had just mistaken their bedroom for the bathroom. Went into their bathroom in my sleeping state, sat down on the chair thinking that it was one of the toilets, let my shit go, chatted it up with them because that's kind of just what happened when you were in the dorm bathroom to begin with. Like that dorm bathroom really broke any fear I had of pooping, peeing, showering in public because you just always were doing it around other people. I just peed on their chair, chatted away. It looked like water because I'm a pretty hydrated person, and then left and went on my merry way. But that's why I had different shorts on because I must have came back, changed my pants, put on dry ones, and went to bed. So yeah, that's my story of me peeing in someone else's room in college. It adds character. Did you guys enjoy that? Was that a fun time? Was that a good time? Did I succeed in providing content that is low stakes, makes you feel good? Literally no thinking involved for me or for you. Because now I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, like what are other like fun, be college related stories I can tell? Because that was 4 years, 3.5 years of my life. And yes, I graduated a semester early, and that was me dropping that in. That was 3.5 years of my life. Arguably some of the worst time of my life, because there's some like really kind of bad things that I had gone through, like mentally, emotionally, like character developmentally that happened. But also, like, I don't know, it's kind of fun. It's fun because everyone has something different. And like, this was my like little unique experience of school. And I don't really get to talk about it. But here we are. It's also interesting because I was talking to my friend the other day. Like, college was the only point in time in my life that I felt really like I had a really hard time making friends in college. And I don't feel like there was any other period in my life where I had struggles with like making friends. Like I had no confidence in myself during college, like little to no confidence in myself. I think that's interesting too, of like I had this scenario where I could be anyone I wanted to be, and like I very much so could find like my little niches of people that like I fucked with and like fucked with me, but I struggled really hard. But again, I think it was like a part of my character development. No, I guess that's all I got. If there's any fun stories or just like topics that you would enjoy listening to while you do your Target runs or your actual runs or you're cleaning or you're vegging out on the couch, let me know. DM me at Carly Petritis on Instagram. Text me if you have my number. Like, just have a good little fun little holiday season. Low stakes times. Raw dogging it. Hey, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with a friend. Maybe they need a little pick me up. Leave me a review. Subscribe to the channel. All of that shit really helps me out. And I look forward to having a nice little chat with you again very, very soon. Until then, stay safe, stay dry, find the toilets, and maybe try some new tea. Get you some princess tea. See how it makes you feel. Love you so much. That's all for now. Bye.